Washington mornings on the Mall. 105.9 FM. At AM 630. WMAL.
806 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. It's Brian Wilson, Larry O'Connor in the house. We're pleased to be joined on the phone line now by Jake Tapper, senior White House correspondent, and by the way, author of a new book, The Outpost, an untold story of American valor, which is getting some good reviews. We're going to get into what happened in Benghazi and your thoughts about Petraeus and about the White House press conference today, Jake. But let's start by talking about this book. Tell me about Combat Outpost Keating.
Combat Outpost Keating was this incredibly vulnerable outpost at the bottom of three steep mountains 14 miles from the Pakistan border. It was set up in 2006 and overrun by Taliban in 2009. They actually got inside the camp. It's the scene of one of the most incredible battles to take place in the Afghanistan war, with some unbelievable acts of heroism, soldiers literally sacrificing their lives to save their brothers. And it's an incredible story that most Americans don't know. And
you focused a lot of your book on this. And tell me how you came to research and know about it.
Well, I was at Sibley Hospital. My son had just been born. And out of the corner of my eye, this is October 2009, out of the corner of my eye on the television, I caught this report about this attack on this very vulnerable outpost. And I was holding my son, and I was listening to the story about how 8 sons had been taken from the world that day, 8 American soldiers. And I just wanted to know more. I wanted to know more about why the camp was put in that vulnerable place. I wanted to know more about this incredible battle that has resulted in numerous medals and 2 Medal of Honor nominations and more. And it just set me on this path, a 2.5-year journey of researching, of talking to soldiers, interviewing more than 225 people for a history of this outpost and some of the most inspiring stories you'll ever read about soldiers.
And Jake, you've also sort of made this book chock full of pictures and maps, and it's just the kind of thing that I think boys really, who are into the military and really getting a taste for this kind of stuff, really enjoy looking at and going through. Was it a conscious choice to sort of make the book feel almost interactive so that the reader can be right there with the action?
Yeah, and exactly, and also, one of the things that I am not a military reporter, and I'm not a war reporter, although I have been to Afghanistan twice and Iraq once. But I wanted to write this book for just the average person who doesn't know what an AT-4 is, who doesn't know what exactly an RPG does to a person's body if it hits or if it explodes nearby. I wanted to make it incredibly accessible. I wanted it to be something that you don't have to know anything about the military to experience the book. And so I put in a lot of maps, I put in a lot of emails, a lot of photographs taken by troops and their families, a lot of just explanation to try to make people understand better. There's a couple battle maps explaining where exactly people were in these kind of complicated battle scenes, just so people can really throw themselves into it and try to experience it as close to on the ground as is possible.
Well, I got to tell you, I have not read the book, but I'm going out to get it today. I'm very interested in reading more about it now that I've heard a little bit about it. So congratulations on that. That's amazing.
And folks can get an excerpt from it at abcnews.com, which is always kind of a neat thing. You can sort of get a sneak peek.
Now, I would be not doing due diligence if I didn't ask you a couple of questions about what's going on in the world right now. You've seen the stories about General Petraeus. You have no doubt you've been one of the people asking the hard questions about what was going on in Benghazi. Your thoughts on that as it has developed over the past couple of days?
Well, it's just a bizarre story, and I'm still, we're still not getting the full tale about what exactly was going on, why exactly the FBI got involved. There seem to be some serious civil liberties concerns about what the FBI is able to do, even when there's no apparent national security threat at stake. And one of the things that's bizarre to me is how much time these generals seem to have on their hands.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, just as somebody who covers the war and has a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about what soldiers go through on a day-to-day basis, I'm just amazed that these guys had time to write all these provocative emails.
Jake Tapper, you were one of the voices in that briefing room facing up with Jay Carney, who continued to relentlessly question the White House's narrative after the attack in Benghazi. And it turns out your instincts were right. You know, as more facts come out, it's clear that it wasn't what the White House was telling us, which was a spontaneous reaction to a YouTube video. When you look back on that 2 months ago and you see all of this other information coming out about Libya, Benghazi, and how it is sort of entangled with this Petraeus affair, what do you think is up here? What do you think is still yet to fall?
Well, I mean, I look back at the September 14th briefing when I said to Jay, and Jay was insisting, based on the intelligence that had been given to him and other White House officials, that it was because of the YouTube video that the attack on Benghazi happened, and this was a spontaneous attack. Now, I had already spoken to many people in other parts of the government who said that they did not think that that was necessarily the case, that there was reason to believe that this was something different, something separate. I don't know why the White House seemed as definitive as they did at the time about the video, and if intelligence, if in other words, if I had better intelligence than people in the White House did, in terms of at least injecting a note of skepticism that it was related to the YouTube video, then I would be questioning, if I worked at the White House, the information that had been given to me.
But these reports of a CIA detention center for terrorists that are
I mean, there have been some fairly respected reporters who have gone there.
Yeah, I know Jennifer Griffin had reported, and I think Paula Broadwell, right, had said something about...
well, and Eli Lake has good nibbled at that as well.
And let's face it, Paula Broadwell was embedded with... I'm sorry.
I was out of line there. Go ahead.
There we go. I don't have any information. I have not had that confirmed independently. I mean, I have no, I'm not questioning those reporters who are excellent reporters. I have not had that. Speaking of Eli and Jennifer, not Paula. I don't have that information independently confirmed, and the CIA has said it's not true.
All right. Can we ask you one other thing? Because the president's going to hold his first press conference since June today. First of all, isn't it sort of ridiculous that the president has not made himself available for a formal press conference since June? And number two, what do you think will be like? Will it all be about Petraeus and Allen, or will we actually get into some meat and substance today?
Unfortunately, I've got this. I won't be there because I'm promoting the book and trying to tell the story of Combat Outpost Keating. So I won't be there. I suspect we'll have a lot of. I mean, we have 6 months worth of questions built up. Reporters, not 6 months, but almost 6 months worth of questions built up. And I imagine you'll hear a lot about Petraeus. You'll hear a lot about Benghazi. You'll hear a lot about the economy. You'll hear a lot about his agenda, his hopes. I'm sure there will be a tremendous amount about the fiscal cliff and where the president feels like there might be some compromise possible. And I'm looking forward to watching it. I'm sad that I'm going to be missing it because I've wanted to ask this question for a long time.
What would you ask if you were there, real fast, Jake?
Well, it's tough to say because you don't want to ask the same question that's been asked, and usually it goes to AP first, and then
so you're usually the third or fourth question.
Right.
If you were number one,
I mean, I think Petraeus is a story you have to drill down on now just because it's right in the news. But then I still have many questions about Benghazi that I don't. I just there's before, middle, and after the attack that there's just I don't want to feed conspiracy theories because there's a lot of irresponsible and false stories out there about this. But it's just a fact that the people on the ground in Libya made requests of the State Department for more security and did not get it, and I still don't know why.
All right, Jake, do you have a book signing locally?
We'll have something in D.C., and I'll definitely come back and let you guys know.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Jake. Great to have you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.